Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Arcade Polonia. And we're now live from Poland with a special guest tonight. His name is David, and we're going to be having a cool chat tonight. So, I'm going to put David on now and say hello to Dave. What's up, David? How you doing?
Good. Everything is good. How are you doing?
I'm fine, man. Are you having a good Sunday?
Yeah, I haven't really left my bed, so it's been fun.
Yeah, I was really tired today. And did some exercise, so I slept in the afternoon just trying to be ready for tonight. But honestly, I still feel a bit sleepy, to be honest.
Exercise, you mean you walk to the refrigerator?
That one several times today. I'm proud of myself. No, but I was on the treadmill. Yeah, but stuff. I haven't done that in a long time, so I felt the heaviness afterwards. So, David, we're gonna be talking about language, several questions on that kind of topic. We're going to be talking about culture, we're going to be talking about weather, and like living in Poland, cost of living, things like that, culture at work. So I think it's going to be fun for people that don't know you and people also that know you. I think it's going to be fun and interesting to see a point of view because if you guys don't know, David's from America. And Dave's gonna tell us which part of America he's from, so we can kind of like maybe he's from a hot place, so it's tough for him. Maybe he's from a cold place in America, so it's not so bad. So it's gonna be interesting. So Dave, where are you from? Tell us a bit about yourself and where you come from in America.
So I'm from Portland, Oregon. So it's about 2.5 hours drive south of Seattle on the west coast. So the weather's kind of in the middle. It's not too hot, not too cold. It's pretty moderate. A little warmer than here, but I mean, most people when they hear I'm from the United States, they always say, "Oh, it must be so cold in Poland," but it's not that much colder here than where I'm from. So
Okay.
it's nothing extreme for me.
And also about the seasons. Do you have also the same kind of seasons there?
Yeah, I mean, it snows there, but I mean, not as much as here. But the winters are it's kind of like living in England, probably. Just it's wet and raining, a couple days of snow. Then it's in the summer, it's like hot, but not too hot. And we got the ocean is like an hour and a half to the west, and we have some good sized mountains an hour to the east. So it's actually a really good location if you like doing outdoor
Wow.
activities.
Mike, I mean, I'm more curious now, I think, than the other people. Why did you come to Poland with that kind of look? I mean, you're situated an hour and a half from the sea, man, and it's a hot place.
Yeah, I mean, I ask myself that all the time, actually. But like the first time it was through this student exchange called ISEC. I don't
Okay.
know if you've heard of that. It's like a lot of
No.
universities around the world in the economic department have this like a club called ISEC, and what they do is they send people abroad for kind of like a traineeship,
Okay.
like an internship.
Mm-hmm.
And I said I would just go anywhere. I didn't care where in the world, and I just randomly got Wrocław, Poland, and I said, yeah, sure, sound like an adventure. So the first time I came here, it was totally random,
Wow.
and then I went back to the United States and had such a fun time here that I decided to come back on my decision.
And
But I
and
didn't think I'd be here for this long, but yeah.
when did you come the first time? When this
The first
program?
time it was 1999.
Wow, man, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, and that was for like a year. And then I went back to the United States, went to live in another country, and now I've been here almost for like 10 years.
Out of curiosity, how was it Wrocław back then? Very different from now.
Yeah, I mean, there was none of these companies, none of these international companies, pretty much no foreigners. So if people heard me speaking English, they were like shocked. I never heard any English. There weren't really many restaurants at all. There were like 6 or 7 clubs. Now there's like 300.
Wow.
So you really felt like you're doing something extreme back then, like something a lot different.
Okay.
And now I think when people come here, it's not that extreme. There's all the fast food places, all these shopping malls, all these big office buildings. So it's not. It's not. I don't think as a culture shock as it was back then.
I understand.
Everyone's
That's cool.
speaking English now. A lot of people. So yeah,
I,
it's
I,
easier now.
I have some friends that from America as well. They are from Montana, and they have been here for like 24 years, I think. And also, he
Well,
was telling me things like that. That there was just one shopping center in Wrocław, which honestly I had never heard of until he told me. And when he told me, I looked on Google and it's still there. It's still running. I don't know how it survived the other, big
yeah.
places. It's not far from Magnolia, by the way. Maybe it's the same one when you're here back then. It's not far from Magnolia. It's a small place as well. I think 1 floor or 2 floors only.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, there was just. I mean, it's only like 8 years after communism, so it was like the country was still trying to figure itself out. I think.
So from that moment, like if you walk into a shop and you spoke English back then and now, it's like a total different world, right?
Yeah, I mean, then you couldn't speak English, and now it's like you can't really speak Polish. Because if I try to speak Polish, then everyone just wants to speak English back to me. So it's actually a struggle now to find someone who will speak Polish with me. Just like the opposite.
Wow. So you guys, if you're hearing this and you're afraid of coming to Poland, now you know you're gonna struggle to speak Polish in Poland.
I have to find some old babsha who will speak Polish with me.
It's I agree with you. It's the same. I have situations where I reply in Polish, and they keep replying in English. It's so kind of them to go the extra mile to really adapt to us that sometimes it blocks us from learning in the Polish language.
Yeah, I mean, I have arguments with friends here if it's them being really nice or them being kind of egocentric. It's just a chance for them to practice their English and not so much to be helpful. Because I have friends who are totally fluent in Polish, and there's no reason for them to speak back in English, but they do anyways. Just to we have arguments. Is it just so they can prove that they're better than our Polish?
Ah,
So I don't know, but yeah, it's if you
it
don't
could it
speak
could work both ways.
Polish,
I see, I see. I back in Bydgoszcz, I had a situation where most people are trying to speak English with me, and there was one guy, really nice guy. He only spoke Polish to me, and somebody called him, an egoist. Like you being an egoist, you're just talking Polish to him, and you're not going to the other side, to speak English. And actually, looking back, he was not being, selfish or anything. He was trying to help me out. Even at work, there was a guy that did that to me. He said, Rainer, let's speak Polish, man. And he did that all the time. His name is Paweł Biały, and I always thank him for that. And he really helped me to learn Polish because I was always switching back to English because it was easier for me. So I guess
yeah,
everybody goes through that. So you came in '99 and you didn't speak a word in Polish, right?
no. I mean, I didn't even know really where Poland was on a map. I didn't know anything.
Don't worry.
Like most Americans, they don't know where anything is.
Yeah, in Brazil we also had that problem. And how did you manage to get by? For example, if you got sick in that year that you're here, how did you do with doctors, sorting out things, Ameldovania, things like that?
Well, that group that I was in, that ISIC group, they had people here, like other students who were helping me with whatever I needed. And
Nice.
then I also had a job, and I mean they could help me if I needed something. But then I met some other foreigners, and I just met friends. So if anything did happen, I always had people to help me out. Just like if I was at home, just someone could help me.
Okay.
So never had a big problem with that.
So did you feel like I know you're really really white. It looks like almost like a Polish guy on the street. I don't know if they recognize you as a foreigner. Did you have any people like staring at you back then?
Because they thought I wasn't Polish.
Yeah, either if you spoke English on the street or if you looked a little bit different, dressed differently as well.
Nothing. I mean, they couldn't tell by looking at me, but yeah, when I spoke English, then it was a big shock to people back then. Like then, if I said I was from the United States, it was even a bigger shock. So people, there were some people from England, but nobody from the United States. So that was like a they couldn't believe that someone would be here from the United States.
This must be new for them, right? Foreigners coming in.
Yeah,
In Brazil, it's the same as well. It's still a new thing there, to be honest.
but yeah, generally everyone, I haven't really back then or now. People are pretty positive about like foreigners. I feel like, and I haven't had any really bad experiences with that.
hmm So back then, what was it like that caught your attention when you came here that you thought, oh, this is nice and I don't have back home and I like it?
Women under 200 pounds. Yeah, that's something.
Oh, that's a good point. Women at 200 pounds. Oh man, that's good.
Oh, I mean, yeah, because
But this is something I found it funny here. They eat so much, and there's a lot of fats, and they even have this fat spread they put on the bread, and they are not
yeah,
fat. It's so unfair.
yeah, they're eating ice cream all the time, eating whatever. They're not doing that much exercise, so I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, I mean, some people do, but still, genetically, I remember back in Brazil, you can tell the difference of a woman that had a child after and the one that didn't. But when I came to this country, I saw there was it looked like a 20-year-old girl pushing like a boogie, like a trolley with a baby on, and I thought might be the nanny. And later on, I
Yeah,
realized that was the mother, and, and most of the women that have children, like 2 weeks later, they are just nothing happened. It doesn't look like nothing
yeah,
changed.
amazing.
It's
So
incredible.
that was the first thing I noticed.
So how different is the women from this region apart from being a bit lighter than your region? Like physically, are they like in your region blonde or Hispanic or what?
let's see. I think there's a lot of people from Mexico all along the West Coast, so there's a lot of Mexicans there. But
Okay.
as far as like if they're more blonde or brunette, it's pretty mixed. So there's not. I mean, here, I mean, every girl dyes their hair, like 99%. So I don't know what color hair people really have here,
Oh really?
but I don't know if you noticed that. But
I didn't know. And I've seen one or two actually openly saying, yeah, I dyed my hair black or kind of like brunette, not brunette. Is it brunette? Kind of like a
yeah,
brownish kind of color, but most of them are blonde from what I know.
yeah, but it's colored. Most of them do it if they're honest with you.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I see. Well, so you felt like a king back then, like the only foreigner probably felt like
yeah. So that I mean, it made it like more of an
special.
adventure. Like, and that was before really internet. No one had phones really, so you're kind of isolated. I mean, now if something happens to you, you can just pick up your phone and call your parents, whoever you want. But back then, I remember I called my parents once every like couple months, and it cost like $30. I didn't have a mobile phone, email. I just got, so you're really more on your own. You couldn't. If you got lost, you had to ask people like, where is this? And but now you can just kind of you can be more lazy and just do it, on your phone, and you don't have to talk with people as much as you used to.
I guess
That's
people that
it.
are migrating now they cannot even imagine this kind of situation because I migrated first time in 2005. Wasn't that late? But in my town in Brazil there was no internet as well. There was nothing, so I couldn't even if I wanted to. There was no even though London had it, a lot of technology and stuff. Still, I couldn't talk to my only by mobile phone. but that in 2005 was okay to get a mobile phone, but 99 no. Yeah, so for you
Yeah,
must have been very difficult.
yeah. So you had to be people had to be way more organized back then. If you told someone, "Okay, I'll meet you at 7 o'clock," they needed to be there. About 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
Now people just all the time like you send an SMS. Oh, sorry, I'll be 30 minutes late,
yeah,
and then it's like socially acceptable. So you're just like back
true.
then you really had to like plan your day better.
True, true, I agree. And also now with Waze, it's so much easier to get anywhere. We don't have to ask anything, just move
Yeah,
around.
yeah. So it was yeah, and I was the only foreigners. It just seemed like I was doing something really extreme back then. And I think if a foreigner came now, they wouldn't feel that much
What and
that
what
much
and what
extreme.
was it the first time you had left America?
It was the second. I did like a study abroad program also in Europe, but Poland. That was nobody went to Poland back then.
I understand. Wow. So in terms of culture, since you have this experience in '99 and now, and when was the second time you came back? Definitely.
So probably like 2007. I came like a couple other times before that, but now I've been like 10 years, almost nonstop.
Wow, 10 years. That's a long time.
Yeah,
Very long time. 10 years. And you've been always like from this 10 years. This is your home. You're just visiting America.
yeah. Once I went back to the U.S. for 1 year in those 10 years.
Uh-huh. Wow. And how does your family take it? Like,
They're kind of used to it now. So my mom, she visits me once a year. So she comes out here, and then I go there once a year in the summer for like 3 or 4 weeks. So, like in the United States, it's so big; it's quite common. The parents are living on the West Coast, the kids are living on the East Coast,
mm,
and they only see each other like 2 or 3 times a year.
okay,
So, my situation is not, although it's a longer plane ride. To
much
see my
longer,
parents,
man. You're just crossing the planet pretty much.
so it's like a lot of families are in that situation in the U.S. Where like in Poland, if you don't see your grandma like every 2 weeks, then they all freak out.
That's true. It's like you have to go to the barbecue on the weekend.
Yeah, the
Oh man,
pierogies.
it's lovely. I like that. I have a friend and I used to live in Bydgoszcz and she used to invite us to her mom's house, and pretty much every other weekend we went there, and for Christmas as well. And oh my goodness, I remember I went there and I ate so much. On the Monday I went to the doctor because I wasn't feeling well, and he said my cholesterol was so high he couldn't understand what
Uh,
had happened. I was like, I know what happened.
uh,
I
uh,
know exactly what happened.
Now, if you go to the grandparents' house or parents, you'll eat a lot for sure.
I have some people writing comments here, and there is a guy just saying hello, everybody. Thanks, guys, for watching us live now. There are some people that are writing, and there's a guy called Ivo Krik, and he said he lived in America, and he actually lived in Connecticut, and he said that he misses that place a lot. Um, and I have a question for you, man. This is a tough one. The one that every foreigner hates. Well, not hates, but we avoid. Marcin Pracik is a friend of mine. Hello, Marcin. He asked, "Does David speak Polish?"
Troszeczkę mogę mówić po polsku.
Oh, wow. See,
Really,
Marcin, he does.
yeah.
That's cool, man. Oh, 10 years is a long time, and yeah, I guess. So first thing when you land here in '99, what was the thing that shocked you the most?
Oh man.
Just coming from America, the land of the free.
Wow. I remember that the customer service was horrible here back then.
Yeah?
Yeah, I remember that was shocking. Just like you go to a store and no one's friendly, or like you're just you go to a car dealership and no one's like coming to you to ask hey, you need help, or you go to a clothing store. Because the United States is the opposite, where they're like ultra. friendly, like too friendly. They're smiling. Oh, how are you? How was your day? And here they're just like, they don't do anything. So I
Well, I
remember
guess
that was,
nothing changed from '99 then.
yeah, it's still kind of the same now. Yeah, and I mean, they didn't have any shopping malls here or like these big stores. So you had to go to all these little small stores to buy every little thing. They still have that here, but most people go to those big shopping malls now. So that was quite different for me. Uh, but then I think here, once you got friends, like people were really friendly. They invite you to their homes.
Yeah,
People I barely knew, and in the United States they wouldn't do that. Uh, so here, like once you're friends, they are more caring about you, I would say.
yeah, that's true. They're more open to invite you home. Like in other countries, to invite you home is a big thing. I lived in America. I lived in the UK, and yeah, oh man, to get to know the parents of your friends is not something light. It's a big thing, especially once
Yeah,
you're dating as well. Here I think if you're dating, it's like the second thing they do is to take you to see their parents.
yeah. And I mean, I think people have, or they still have, like when they go out for a party, they really have more fun here. Like people are just seem to be having lots of fun. In the United States, like people are just trying to. I mean, in general, I noticed like just trying to look cool and be cool, but they're not just like dancing and smiling. And here, it's people are just more dancing and just looks like they're having more fun when they're going out.
They don't mind passing out here after drinking a lot of
Yeah,
alcohol.
worried about making a fool of themselves. So
That's cool. That's cool. I was just thinking, man, '99. It's really, my goodness. It's like before even mobile was here. I mean, I can imagine what you went through a little bit, but must have been very like a total different experience for you coming from America and then landing here.
I'm glad I was here then because it was, I think, way different than it is now. And yeah, people were like really excited to meet you as a foreigner. I mean, now they still are, but they probably know lots of foreigners. But back then, you were quite a rarity to be here.
When I came here to Wrocław and I was coming from Bydgoszcz, I didn't feel like they cared about you, like for example one person being foreign because they're so used to it here now. At work, for
Yeah.
example, I say I'm from Brazil, I say, oh, okay, nice, and they walk away. But in Bydgoszcz, when I was working, I say I'm from Brazil, I would get like stopped and so many questions about why I came and what's wrong with me and why in the world I would leave the hot country and come to a cold country and so on. So yeah, I felt more special in Bydgoszcz, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, here there's a lot of foreigners. There's all those international companies. I mean, when you walk around the center, you hear seems like just as much English as Polish nowadays.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. It's in, yeah. And when it comes to general, like not about '99 now. In general, what was like the biggest cultural shock you had when you this when you relate with Polish culture?
I mean, those things that I said, and what
Yeah,
else?
customer service.
Um,
I lost a friend because of customer service. I worked with her and she was really nice, but one day I made a comment on Facebook about customer service, which I exactly what you said. I walked into a Nissan dealership. I moved around the whole courtyard around the shop. I walked in. I sat inside two cars. I opened the boot, everything. Nobody approached me. And then I just went past the counter in the reception and I just left. And nobody spoke, nobody waved, nobody. So I didn't feel, because I didn't mind, I'm used to it now. But I comment on
yeah,
Facebook and said, this is amazing. And I wrote there, oh man, she was so offended. She was like, oh, you're a guest in my country. If you don't like it, you can go back home.
yeah. I mean, it's not really like good or bad. In the U.S., it can be annoying because people they're just all over you, like, oh, how you doing? Need some
Yeah.
help? You're like, leave me alone there. So
They're
it's
like
like,
carnivores trying
wait,
to attack you, right? To make a sale. Like in Brazil, it's
yeah.
the
So I mean, I
same.
kind of like it better here. So it's annoying in the U.S. sometimes, like, or
Same
like
in Brazil.
in a restaurant in the U.S. they'll give you the bill like right after you order because they just want you like out of there.
Ah.
And here, you have to like really struggle to get the attention of the
You have to
waiter.
get the eye contact because it's rude to wave or to call like this, right? So you have to try to find the that vision connection, visual connection.
And I think I remember like maybe I'm used to it now, but people would just yell a lot here. Like someone would be yelling, I'd be like, something awful must have happened, but they just like lost their pencil or something. So people like are real emotional here, like with negative stuff.
Oh
As I
yeah,
remember that.
I wasn't
Yelling.
expecting that here to be honest. As a cold country, I thought people would be less emotional, but
They're just emotional about bad things. When something good happens, they don't do anything. But
I
if
read
something bad
something.
happens, they make sure everyone knows.
I agree with you. I read something on the internet before coming to Poland when I was doing the research, and it said something so true. At least from my point of view, it's true. I would like to see what you think. It compared the Polish people like this. It said Polish people are like Germans when you meet them, and Italians when you know them. And I feel
That.
and I feel like they're really cold at the beginning, but after, my God, they just move their hands. They speak loud, and they're really emotional.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that.
And we talked about the customer service, this kind of like loud things. Anything else you remember that was strange for you? You've been here 10 years. You might have forgotten already. You're becoming Polish
Yeah,
now.
I'm kind of used to it all, so I'd have to. I think that's about it that I can remember.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you think for an American coming here today to Wrocław, do you think it will be easier for them to adapt depending? Do you think it will depend on which region they come from America? Like a guy from the south of America, like Texas, place like that. Do you think it'll be hard for them to adapt here?
I think like in every state, there's people, all different types of people. So you could have someone from Texas who would be really easy to adapt here, and someone else from Texas who has a different background and would be more difficult. So I don't think it matters where from the United States you're from.
Okay. So is the culture there? I had this mindset that America, like the South, they're really like touching and hugging and emotional. In the North, they're really cold and more European. Let's say that's the mind. That's the idea I had of about America.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I haven't lived in the South or the East Coast. So I know people from there, but it's hard to say. I
Uh-huh.
mean, it's definitely the difference between like Germans and Polish people. There's a big difference. The difference between like someone from New York or Oregon, it's not as extreme as two different countries.
Mm, I see. Yeah, I see that living abroad really changes us. I don't know. Would you say that it changed you somehow?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure it did. Like, it's a big life. It changes your direction of where your life is for sure. Like all the experiences, people you meet. It gets you out of your comfort zone, which makes you like a real challenge. It makes you have to really focus on yourself, and it's not easy. So you kind of find the bad things about yourself, the good things about yourself.
Mm.
So yeah, you're out there. So it's like a challenge.
It makes you question why you do things, right? I remember the day I saw a Polish lady opening a banana from the black spot, the other end, and she opened it
Yeah.
there, and I was like, why is she doing that? She was holding it on that hard part and opening from the black one. And in Brazil, we do the opposite. We break it on that edge, and then we eat towards the black one, and we leave the black thing inside the banana and throw it away. And she was doing the other way around here. And I had never seen anybody opening a banana like that. And I noticed that it's kind of like common here for them to do like that. It's a simple thing, but made me question why do I open from the other side? It's just because everybody else is doing that in Brazil. So it's just natural, right? Tend to copy
Yeah.
people.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know, if you have the opportunity to live somewhere else, even just for a few months, wherever it is, definitely, I'd recommend it.
So yeah, I also say the same thing. So now that you've been for 10 years here, when you meet an American that just fresh off the plane in Poland, is there anything that reminds you that you've changed? Certain things that they do that you don't do anymore, or
I think Americans more like asking more, get in your personal life a lot more. So I noticed like in Poland, people are real protective of their anything personal, and
yeah.
like a U.S. stranger will just ask you about your kids, your anything, like right off the bat, and so I noticed that difference.
So
Now that I've
so
been here.
they come and ask you some personal questions just straight out of nowhere, not even being
Yeah.
friends to you.
I mean, even if you go to a store in the U.S., like you don't know them at all, they'll ask you like all sorts of personal stuff.
But I noticed this kind of thing is common on everywhere I lived. It's very common on villages or small cities. But when you move to a bigger city, people tends to be very cold and distant, like they don't care. And it's in one way, it's a bit. I don't like that, to be honest. That's the fact of the big cities. Nobody seems to care. But yeah, you have the downside of the curiosity of personal life in a small city. Yeah, in Brazil, I remember living in a small town. If I go to the city center with a, I don't know, a pair of jeans, and then I repeat the same the next day, there'll be people that old ladies that are sitting on the veranda of their homes, watching who is going up and down. So they'll be looking at you and say, "Oh, you're repeating the same clothes. What's going on?" That's it's strange, but it happens.
I think another difference is like in the U.S., if you go to like a family party or a wedding, it's like pretty short. Like even a wedding, you're home by like 10 o'clock.
Oh my
And
god.
here, it's you go to a family's house, they're there together for like 8, 10 hours, like at the dinner table. Uh, and then weddings last like 2 days. So
True.
I like here people are spend more time together. I would say like families
I
and
agree.
friends.
This is a cool thing about Poland. I really like that. They are very family oriented.
Yeah, yeah. Because in the U.S., if you go to like I don't know whatever religious dinner or whatever, or you're there 2 hours, then everyone goes home. But here it's just all day and all night.
That's fun. That's fun. They eat and drink a lot. Yeah, I've been to some weddings, and it's true that some people I met from Missouri, they were sitting in one table, and I think in the space of half an hour they had like 15 shots, and I was totally gone by that time. I had to move from that table to somewhere else. Couldn't take anymore. There's so many shots of vodka, man. I was like, now I need to walk home later today.
Yeah, people drink a lot here too. That's
It's true.
I noticed that.
So, for you, when it comes to the, let's say, the cost of living, I know it's 10 years ago, it's a long time, but do you feel it's cheaper here or cheaper in America related to what you earn, let's say,
I think this
locally?
situation, yeah, it's better in the United States. I mean, it's people earn more there and it's more expensive there, but in the end, you can save more there than here. Uh, it depends what kind of job you have. But if you work for like there's like kind of a maximum in Poland you can make, so it's hard to make like a lot of money.
Mm.
So there's kind of like depends on the job, but most people can make enough here to live, but they don't make a tremendous amount like they
Mm.
could in the United States.
Yeah, because
So economically, it's better in the United States.
what I say to people sometimes is this: like there are some offers to go to work in Europe, but then when you look at, for example, the Netherlands, like a rent there, it's like 1,500 euros and goes up to 3,000 euros. And then when you look at the salaries, the minimum wage compared to the salary you're getting, it's like you're getting 4 times or 3 times only the minimum wage. And when you look at the rent, it's like 50%. So even though you might say, well, locally there is a different thing than here, there's this kind of thing like I think it's a MAC index, I think, that you can calculate how many max you can buy in the country with the minimum wage, so you can have an idea of how expensive, or it's a kind of funny index. But that's what I say to people. Sometimes in Poland, at least for me, compared to Brazil, is better because if you look at the amount of times you earn over the minimum wage, is higher than back in my country, for example.
Yeah, I think in the end, most people spend whatever they get. So in the
That's
United
true.
States, people earn a lot more, but they find things to buy, and at the end of the month, they have zero.
That's true. It tends to spend what, yeah, yeah, that's right. When it comes to the houses, like I know that the American houses are normally huge, and did you find any difficulty when you came to Poland? Like, is it smaller here, or how was
Yeah,
it
'cause,
for
I
you?
mean, very few people live in houses here, so it's mostly live in apartments here. And in the United States, where I grew up, like everyone has a house. I never went to an apartment ever. I don't think so. That's a big difference. But pretty much everyone lives in apartments here.
So, yeah,
But
that's a difficult. I cannot imagine Brazilians living in an apartment. It's gonna be a mess because there's so much loud music from everybody. It's
yeah, but yeah, I mean, I'm used to it now. I mean, most people live in these like either from like 50 to 70 square meter places. That's what most people get, that size.
And what about America? What's the normal size of a home there for you guys?
I
150
mean,
meters?
well, it's interesting because here, like, I have a 75 square meter place. So when Polish people visit me, they're like, "Oh, this is big. This is a
Ah, it's
good
big.
size." If an American comes to, it, like, "Oh, how could you live here? It's so small." And it's like it's just all relative. So
True.
most people there, they have like kids. They normally have like a 200 square meter house on average, I'd say.
Wow. Yeah, that's big.
For a house.
I noticed that Americans like to have a room for every different thing. Like you have a room for an office, you have a room for reading, and also the guys like to have the garage, and then they have that backside of the garage as a workshop with loads of tools on the walls and these cutting saws and everything, so they can build a house from that place. It's
Yeah,
kind of
they call that a man cave. That's the expression.
oh, the man cave.
Or they go do their stuff, whatever they do.
I know two American families here, and they have a house like that, and they have the man cave. It's every time I need something, I just call one of them, and I know they're gonna be able to sort it out.
Yeah, yeah. So, but people in New York City, they live in apartments too. So just not everywhere, in the United States, but mostly people live in houses there.
Now you're saying that, I remember something that was shocking for me. First time I saw Friends back in Brazil, I couldn't understand why all these strange people were living in one apartment together. It didn't make any sense to me. When I lived in London, then I understood because we can't afford to rent a flat ourselves, so we tend to the landlord will sublet rooms. So you have people renting a room here and there, and then it makes sense to share the expenses. But that was so strange for me.
I think people do that here too, like students. They all live together.
Yeah, I heard it's not so common like in London, for example. But I've seen. I have a friend, Brazilian friend, doing that. He's sharing with an Indian and somebody else from I don't remember which country. It's kind of common, but I guess the tendency is to be like that because people are moving earlier and earlier from home. Back in the day,
Mhm.
especially in Brazil, people are moving from home only when they get married. And
Oh,
I
okay,
I know
okay.
in America the guys move out quickly. If they don't, it's it's a bad thing, right? If you tell a
Yeah,
girl that you're still living with your parents, she's not gonna go out with you.
yeah. I think like at age 18, all of my friends had moved out. It was like right after high school. If you still live at home, it's like embarrassing.
But how can you do that? Like with 18, how do you like to have a job to supply for you to support yourself, to be mature enough to cook, to clean? It's not easy, man.
Well, these people that I was friends with went to university, so they lived in the student dorms, and I guess got money from their parents to do that.
Uh-huh.
But most that's what I think almost everyone does that goes to college. I think. Where here, I think a lot of people go to college in their same city and they still live with their parents.
All right, so they can
I
still.
think,
Uh-huh. Wow. Because I remember in the UK, this was the chance that people had to move away from their parents for the first time. It's like the freedom time. So that's what they wanted to do. They would not study in their own town. They'll try to move
uh,
away to get a different experience.
so in Poland, I think it's more common people live with their parents a few more years longer than what I was used to.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I have friends in the UK, man. If that's not possible, if you live with your parents, you cannot go out with anybody. They'll never go out with
Mm.
you if you tell them you're living with your parents. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. And in the United States, when you're 16, you can get your driving license. So in here, I think it's 18. So that was a difference. In the U.S., you have to be 21 to drink. Here is like, legally 18, but I think even earlier. So those are different things.
Yeah, there is actually even an American movie where I forgot the name of the actor, but one of the actresses, she's from this Sex in the City, and she's hired to find a way to. She's specialized on that to move people from their parents' home. So geeks, people like that that don't want to move out, she goes and fake date them and help them to move away from their parents' home. And it's kind of a funny move, to be honest. I'll try to remember the name, and I'll send it to you later after the live. But yeah, I watched it like 2 weeks ago. It was funny.
Okay. Yeah.
The actor's
So
my
yeah. So
friend.
yeah. So again, it's like connection. People here are more close to their family. They're living longer together, visiting more often, longer than in the United States. When you're 18, you leave your parents, you see them a few times a year. So that was a difference for me.
And what do you think about that? Because it seems that it's nice to to be in touch with the family. Of course, it has a downside. There's a lot of internal family gossip and this and that. But um,
It's good if you have a good relate. If you like your parents, then yeah, it's okay to spend more time with them. Yeah.
if you like your parents,
No, but it's good. Yeah, that's a positive thing here for sure.
that's true. We have. I mean, not everybody like. That's true. It's tough sometimes. It's
Yeah.
complicated. Oh, man, that's funny. Um, I guess when you came to Poland to rent a place here, did you find any difficulties as being a foreigner? What, did you feel like they were charging you more, or?
No, that went well. It's really easy. Both the few times that I rented places, it took I think just like a week, and I had like a Polish person go with me, so
Okay.
who helped, and that's important. But yeah, it's just like so I've talked to people who went to other cities, like in France. They say it's like a nightmare to rent apartment, and they need all these documents, proof of employment. But here it's really simple.
Yeah, one thing I like here and other countries they tend to ask is that some countries ask for your bank statement. I think that's a big invasion of privacy. Here they don't do that.
Yeah, I don't think you need to show anything. Just like show you have the money for a couple months, like pay them, and then you can stay there.
Yeah. And when it comes to living in Poland, do you see any benefits of the geographical location of Poland in the map for you to travel, or do you think it doesn't matter with the flights and everything?
Yeah. I mean, the whole Europe's right there, so you can visit like 20, 30 countries within 2 hour flight. So it's real. The location's awesome.
I like it for road
Ideal.
trips.
Yeah, I mean you can drive to different places, fly with all those relatively cheap airlines. Yeah, so within 2 hours you can be a lot of different places.
Yeah, I like the fact that if I go by car north, let's say northeast, I can do like a circle. I've done it, Baltics, Nordics, back again through Germany, back to Poland. And I've done also south, going all the way to Croatia, and then back again to Poland. And always doing like a circle, so I can always see different things on the way down and on the way back as well. So I
Yeah,
like that kind of, that look, the location we have. Now I have a friend living in Spain. I was like, man, what can you do? You know, like if you go south, Portugal, and then you're back to Spain. If you go north, it's just France, and then back. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, United States. I mean, you got to fly like 6 hours to be in another country a lot of times. So
Yeah,
that's a
I
real
was thinking
advantage.
for you, it's like the trip actually starts when you get to America, right? Like, it's like
Yeah.
it's like you get to America and then you're gonna go and cross the whole country.
Yeah, I mean, so if you're living in the United States and you want to go to another country, it's like a huge deal. Where like here, you can just drive a couple hours and you're in a different country.
Yeah, it's like in Brazil, you drive 8 hours by car. It's considered as the standard drive time. Anything above that, then it starts to be long. But 8 hours, it's kind of okay. But here, if you tell people you drive 8 hours somewhere, they will be like, "What? Are you crazy? You take a flight for that? It doesn't
Uh,
make sense."
yeah, and then like the weather and stuff, I think it's good. I mean, you don't have United States. You have forest fires, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes. So here you don't have any of that extreme temperature. It gets a little bit cold here, but it's not that extreme, and more or less it's pretty moderate. So I think the weather's overall pretty good here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like that. It keeps changing as well. You never get bored with one type of weather. Man, it's like
Yeah,
South America. It's so hot all the time. You just want to break, you know. You just want to feel cold a little bit, and you can't. Especially for sleeping. People don't think about that, but can you imagine? Like you go to bed and you're sweating, and you can't sleep, and then the bed sheets are getting stuck in your skin. It's disgusting. Oh,
yeah,
how many times I
yeah.
took a shower and I was sweating straight after the shower? Like I had lost count of it.
Yeah. I mean, some people like really hot weather, but and some people like less like really cold weather. But Poland's pretty moderate, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. And what about the language? You said the first year when you came. Did you learn any Polish back on that first year?
No, not really. I mean, a little bit. I could, go to stores and do that stuff, but I couldn't really talk to anyone. So it's like I think a really hard language
It,
to learn.
you think
Yeah,
this thing is like a code, man? It's like a little
yeah,
code for. I think this is probably one of the reasons why many foreign didn't move in before here. It's so difficult.
yeah. And now that people more and more are speaking English. If you do put the effort to learn, it's even harder because people aren't speaking to you in Polish, so it's harder to practice.
Yeah, I try to think now what I mean. I've known people that are single here, and then they date a Polish girl, for example, and then they can get that contact with the family, with the friends of that girl. So they get in touch in um, the let's say they get in touch with the family. You know, it's different. But for us as for married, it's not so simple. I think I've lost you, David.
You, am I on?
Let me see. Some reason your camera disappeared. Hold on.
All right.
Yeah, your camera disappeared from the
Okay.
source.
Someone called me. That's why.
Aha. Oh, it's not coming back on again. I don't know why. Interesting. It should. It should actually. I don't know what's going on, but let me see how I can fix that
Yeah.
because people will be staring at me. Okay. So let me call you back again. Let me just hang up and call me back again. I think it'll be easier. Maybe we'll fix it.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. We just lost David here. He received the call and that disconnected his camera from the live. But he'll be back in a sec. Just bear with me, and we'll be live again. Let's see. Oh. Let me see. Oh, I have you again. That's great. Yeah, it's technology is complicated sometimes. It should work, but it didn't. All right. Your daughter's having fun. Yeah, my son is also playing downstairs. I'm lucky if not doing any noise right now. Um, I just forgot what we were saying before. That's fine. We'll continue. Um, for you now, living here such a long time, I remember now the language. So when you started speaking Polish, how long it took for you to say like, well, I can kind of like communicate what I want and understand a little bit, like 2 years,
Took
3 years,
a few years,
2 years.
but I didn't put that much effort in at the beginning. So I think if someone tried, after 6 months, they could say a bit.
Okay.
But I think like, nobody becomes like really fluent. Just like, yeah, I think you can get to like a B2 level, and then it's just like that's pretty much as far as you can go. Unless you really want to like go extreme and spend a lot of time on it. But I don't know.
Yeah,
That's just from talking with people. It's just it's really hard to
I
get
met
like.
one guy that spoke fluently, and I was shocked with him. He's came from Brazil. I always say this guy's name, João. He came from Brazil, moved to Poland, and was living. He got married, and he was living with his wife's family. And of course, the family didn't speak English, so they had to speak Polish. And this guy, in 1 year, I was impressed with his development. I met him for the first time when he started working in our company back in Bitgosh, and it was wow. He was speaking at the same level as me. That was already here for like almost 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, some people are just good at languages, and if you put the effort in, you can learn it. But talking with people like from Spain who learned English and Polish, they say like English is so much easier to learn than Polish.
Yeah, I confirm. 6 months I
So
was speaking already something. In 1 year I was already fluent in back in the UK. And
yeah,
here,
uh,
my God, it took me 3 years to
that's
speak a
really
little bit.
hard.
It's 3 years a long time. So if let's say, of course, America is like the richest country on earth. Like people who have this idea of America, like it's the the dream place, and for them to try to figure out why would an American decide to actually make their home here. Do you ever question yourself like, what am I doing here?
I mean, I never do, but Polish people do. They all the time come to me and say, like, "Why are you here?" Like, 'cause I don't know, they have like a low opinion of their own country, I guess. But like all the time, they're like, "Why would you want to live here?" But people from the United States who come here, they realize that there's good and bad on every country. It's just about what you make of it. So I wouldn't say like America is this like dream country. You can be happy or sad there, just like anywhere else. So it's whatever.
Do you think that image is created by movies?
Yeah, they do a good job, the Hollywood, to make it seem like but people there they struggle just like they do here. Even more so a lot of the times. So yeah, but I mean most like Polish people who have traveled, then they know that it isn't some dream place. It's like very few people live like you see in the movies.
Very few. Wow.
Yeah, I mean most people just live like like people here.
I just watched John Wick. And I'm glad to hear that. It's like a lot of killing and a lot of beating up, and it's Keanu
Oh,
Reeves, you know.
that happens. That stuff happens for real.
And he was fighting the mafia, man. It was beautiful. The Russians were afraid of. I think it's the first time I see a movie where the Russians are afraid of Americans.
Yeah, I mean, like in the U.S., I mean, parents are scared to send their kids to school because there would be a shooting. So, like, yeah, there's advantages there, but I wouldn't want to. I'd be kind of worried about living in a place where you're scared your kid's gonna die when you take it to school. So,
Oh,
there's a
that's an
big
interesting
negative.
point, because I think our countries have this kind of like mass shootings as well. Like I think we learned, or I don't know if we learned from you, we learned from us, but we have these mass shootings is like horrible. Like people are like on the pub and they come to kill one guy, but unluckily you were there and you're gonna watch it, so you can't tell other people. So you get, everybody gets killed in that moment. But what I'm gonna get to is this: like, do you feel like you became a bit more naive living in Poland in terms of personal security if you go back to the US right now?
Wait, say that again?
Do you feel like you became naive in terms of personal security? I'll give you an example. When I'm in Brazil, my wallet is always in the front pocket, never in the back pocket. I'm always watching my surroundings. I'm never stand on a place or bus stop where I don't know what's going on behind me. I know always what's going on around me, and I'm always alert. I'm this kind of like a state of alert all the time. And here, I don't feel anything like that. I just walk. I just don't look around. If I want to take out my phone, I take out my phone. In Brazil, if your phone rings, you can't take your phone out. You have to watch around to see if you can take your phone out. You might take your phone out for the very last time, if you do in the wrong place.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with that. So you can be more relaxed here for sure with that stuff. And I remember I was kind of shocked here when like girls after a party would like walk home alone at night. So like in the U.S. or where I come from, they would never do that.
They never do that in Brazil as well, man.
Yeah, so that was different here. Like, so that was a good sign that it's like a safe, safe city here that I was in. That girls felt comfortable.
Well, I use that to my advantage sometimes. Let's say if I liked a girl when I was single, and then I would hang as much as I could to be the last guy on the party because I know she'd have to ask me to take her home.
Yeah.
For security reasons, so you get a chance. Here, no, they just go home. They don't need you.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, here, I mean, people there's pickpocketing and people fight and stuff, but people don't have guns here out in the streets, and it's definitely safer overall.
It's much safer. Yeah, it's really nice, especially like we have kids, and we feel safe to let them go to school. To be there, we know it's nothing really crazy is gonna happen because so many strange things that happen in our countries that here it feels like a paradise, to be honest.
Yeah. So yeah, when people say to me like, "Oh, like you said, like America's like this paradise dream place," but if you really look at it, there's lots of serious negative things about it.
I think I grew up watching American TV, American series, American shows, American artists. So in Brazil, we are very Americanized, but very, very much. I think probably we are the most American country in South America. And we have this positivity, this mindset of like thinking everything's going to be all right and so on. But when I was 17, I wanted to go to America. And like every other person from my state, like Minas Gerais, I think has the most amount of Brazilians in America. There is actually a town called Governador Valadares. That town has every member of every family. I mean, every family in that town has at least one member living in America. That's how many people are living there. It really changed the town architecture as well because people lived in America. They've seen some cool houses, so they go back and they do the same back home. It's kind of fun. So I wanted to go to New York when I was 17, and it almost worked out when I turned 18. But in the end, I moved I ended up going to the UK.
Okay.
But I think if I had gone to the UK, I wouldn't be here today, to be honest. Sorry, to go to America, I wouldn't be here, I think. Yeah, man, I think we talked for almost an hour. I don't want to hold you up too much. It's a Sunday, and I appreciate a lot your time, and it's really nice chat. I hope you enjoyed as well.
Yeah, it's fun.
And so I'll continue talking to you offline. And thanks everybody for watching us. We had David with us today from America, sharing his thoughts and his experience in Poland for over 10 years now. The guy came in '99, so if you just arrived in the channel right now, because I see some people coming on now, just go back to the beginning so you can watch. So don't forget to share this, subscribe to the channel, turn on the alert so you don't miss the next live as well. And see you guys next Sunday, same time. with more people. Next time it's going to be a Polish guy that lived in France, so it's going to be fun. Thanks, David. Have a good evening.
Bye.